Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. This is Owen James. I am Owen James, your host, guys. I'm bringing you all the latest Rangers news, views, updates. Well, we're going to answer the $1,000,000 question. Who was on the plane? Who was on the plane? And we're going to talk a little bit about a player who has been linked with a move to Rangers on loan from Liverpool, of all clubs. A guy called Bobby Clark, very, very talented, very highly thought of midfielder at Liverpool FC, with experience playing in the Carabao Cup, the Premier League, and also in the Europa League. We'll talk a little bit about him as well. So we're going to start by solving your $1,000,000 question, by answering the question that was on the lips of every single person, was who was on the plane to Holland, who wasn't on the plane to Holland, and did certain individuals get on the plane, or did they stay at home? That's the question you all want answering, isn't it? You all want to know it. You're all desperate to know it. Well, obviously, Connor Barron, the new signing from Aberdeen. God, they're still pissed about that, aren't they? Very comical, that situation. Whole situation is extremely comical. You know what, Aberdeen fans? You know he's at a big club now. He's enjoying it. You can see by his face. He's at a proper club now. Not some tin pot club on the northeast coast of Scotland. Anyway, here he is, enjoying himself, heading out to Holland for the pre-season tour, ready to work hard, ready to be a future start for Rangers. I've got to say, I am extremely excited by this young lad. I think he is a very talented player. I think he's going to make a big difference for Rangers this season. And I think he is a player who will, I believe, honestly, compete for first team football right from the very out. I mean, I think, we saw last season he played for Aberdeen in a number of big games. And in the semi-final, he ran rings round one of the most overrated footballers in Scotland, Callum McGregor, and Ria Hatate, one of the ugliest footballers in Scotland, and also Matt O'Reilly, who I think is still at Celtic, although apparently he's on them, could be joining Leicester City. Yeah, okay. That about tells you everything you need to know about Celtic, doesn't it? So he was there. Now, I know that's not the question you wanted answering. You don't really want to know whether Connor Barron was on the plane. You want to know about Tweedledum and Tweedledee, and you want to know about the big Belgian Nigerian, and you want to know about the man himself, the main man, Mr. Hampden. Well, let's start off with this picture. Yes, Mr. Hampden was on the flight to Holland. Despite links, linking him to move to Sheffield Wednesday, something that Danny Rule, who is the current Sheffield Wednesday manager, refused to be drawn on after their 2-0 victory over the mighty Alfreton Town. That's in Derbyshire, for those of you who don't know. Danny Rule, speaking after the game, was asked repeatedly by members of the Sheffield press about the alleged imminent arrival of Scott Wright from Rangers, all of which he refused to be drawn on, refused to comment on, and really didn't go into any detail on. So Scott Wright has flown out with Rangers to Holland. You can just see him on the bench for the Old Firm game and coming off the bench in the 60th or 70th minute, can't you? I've got to say, I just can't do it. Not another season of Scott Wright. If anyone can tell me what exactly Scott Wright contributes to this team, I'd love to know, because I'm struggling. I've got to say, guys, I've watched all the games last season. I brought you live streams and comment on virtually all the games last season, and I've got to say, I didn't see him do anything, and really didn't see him contribute anything at all to this team. And in fact, most of the time I saw him look pretty average. Now he gets a game. Genuinely don't. I mean, I saw a hilarious tweet on X the other day, and it was saying Scott Wright on fire, 23 appearances, 23 matches for Rangers. Yeah, it's about sums it up, doesn't it? Got to say, yeah, he's on the plane to Holland. He'll be starting on Saturday against Ajax. He'll be on the right wing. Cortez will be on the left wing. You just know it's happening. You can try your best to sit there and deny it, but it's going to happen. Okay, so he was on the flight. Who else was on the flight? Yes, Tweedledum and Tweedledee, Dumb and Dumberer, were both on the flight as well. Yes, Captain James Tavernier and Connor Goldson both made the journey out to Holland, despite obviously let's rephrase that. Despite the alleged interest from Stevie G and Eddie Fatty in Saudi, old Tav and Goldson were on the flight out to Holland. You know what, guys? I'm becoming more and more convinced that we're going to have to put up with the end of the season of the Chuckle brothers at the back. Genuinely another season of us been targeted repeatedly down the right of James Tavernier. Yes, probably scoring goals and penalties in the back of the net, but probably also absolutely stinking out the defence, and the right side of the defence been very weak and been targeted repeatedly. And Dyson Maida been made to look like prime Lionel Messi by James Tavernier. I can honestly see that. It's not good. It's not good. Yes, Tav was on the flight. And I repeat what I said earlier on the podcast. I'm not afraid of any. I'm not afraid. You know what? If you don't agree with me, fine. Don't agree with me. Genuinely don't care. But it's becoming Tav FC. It genuinely is becoming Tav FC. And people always say that no man should be bigger than the club. But I think with some of our fans, Tav is bigger than the club. I genuinely think that with some of our fans, particularly that younger generation that have kind of become used to the mediocrity of kind of, you know what, as long as Tav plays and is captain, they don't care. They don't give a shit if Celtic win the treble as long as Tav is playing. That's the main thing for them. And Tav scores a few goals, gets a few assists. They're happy because their boy has done it for them. You know what? Not what I'm prepared to accept. Not what I'm prepared to accept at all. I am only prepared to accept this club winning leagues, winning cups, winning trebles, getting back to the days of Graham Souness, Walter Smith, Dick Advocat and Big Eck. That's what I remember. One player is not bigger than the club. And I think with some of our fans, it's only a minority, I think more a modern minority, Tav is bigger than the club. Genuinely feel they believe that. If you disagree, you disagree. But honestly, and I was reading some tweets last night and some X's or whatever you want to call them. And, people calling Tav the GOAT. I mean, if Tav's the GOAT, I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's not even in the top 10 Rangers players of all time for me. I mean, the guy should even be in the Hall of Fame. So I don't get it. Don't get it. He's not a GOAT. He's definitely not a GOAT. Okay, also on that flight was, yes, despite the alleged bids and Rangers accepting alleged bids, he was there. Shrek sidekick, Mr. Cyril Dessers, was on the plane to Holland. Again, I read some weird stuff on X last night. People saying he's only going to get better next season. He's not going to get better. He's going to get older. He's going to miss more chances, and he's going to cost us more points and progression in Europe. 28 missed chances. 1 goal in Europe. Awful against Benfica. Awful against PSV Eindhoven. Sorry. Genuinely. If you believe that Cyril Dessers is good enough to be Rangers number 9, to be the starting 9 for this team, give me what you're on, because I want it. I need to have what you're on, because he's obviously very good, and very delusional, but it's there. Yes, he was on the flight as well. So it appears all those rumours, all those stories about, this player not going, that player not going, and them staying at home because they're going to be transferred is just not happening. So get ready for it. Saturday against Ajax, Tav starts, Goldson starts, Dessers starts, Wright starts, and we all kind of go, for fuck's sake. Yes, there we go. That's where we're at anyway. That's answering your questions. That's showing you who's on the plane. Well, let's move it along now to something that's slightly brighter news. So Liverpool, we know, have from last season had a lot of injury problems, and they relied very much on their young players. They have some outstanding young talents on Merseyside. And I think obviously the system and the way of playing of the gegenpressor of Jurgen Klopp, and I'm sure they'll miss Jurgen Klopp. I've got to say, not a Liverpool fan. My youngest daughter's a Liverpool fan. My ex-wife is a Liverpool fan. But Jurgen Klopp is just a fabulous manager, an outstanding manager. And I know you never would come to Rangers, but I'd love him to be Rangers manager. He's just amazing human being, amazing coach. And I think obviously that was part of what made these young players so fantastic. Curtis Jones, Bobby Clark, Carmen Kelleher. Loads of players that they brought in that were just Beck, that were outstanding. Now, one of the players that Rangers have been linked with, apparently, not the only team, apparently, according to stories, RB Leipzig are interested in taking him on loan. Norwich interested in taking him on loan. A couple of EPL clubs interested in taking him on loan. It's this young man here. Yeah, that's right. He is Bobby Clark, who is a midfield player. Born in Newcastle upon Tyne, not actually a Scouser. Only 19 years old, but an exceptionally talented 19-year-old. Centre midfielder, right-footed, is under contract with Liverpool till 2028. Now, it's thought that any loan move for Clark would not, I repeat, would not contain a option to buy, as Liverpool are not anxious to see Clark leave. They want to keep Clark on side. They want to keep Clark in their team. That is how highly they rate him. He is a very, very talented player. He's got experience in the Europa League. He's got experience in the EPL. He's got experience in the Carabao Cup, and was actually part of the team that won the Carabao Cup against Chelsea last season. Top player. Very, very good player. Now, obviously, if this is a player we're going to take on loan, you would sort of stand to reason that, realistically, he's probably going to be a player that Liverpool are going to want to play a number of games. It's not a player you can bring on loan and then sit him on the bench for the vast majority of games and he's not going to play. So you'd kind of think that, let's face it, if he is going to be here, he's going to play. We look at him now. He can play the following positions. He can play left midfield. He can play central midfield. He can play attacking midfield. The more and more I think about it, the more I kind of look into these signings that Rangers are interested in making. It does seem to me that we could well be moving away from a 4-2-3-1 to more of 4-3-3 with a flat 3 in the middle. With likes of obviously Bobby Clark being linked with Kenny McLean, who I think is going to wouldn't be a great signing. If you want to know my thoughts on that, go back and check out last night's pod. It seems to me that Bobby Clark would be a player who would fit into that and would be part of that midfield 3. Perhaps Diomande, Clark, and Barron, or perhaps Diomande, Clark, and Sterling. Diomande, Barron, and Clark. Any combination of really. So he does seem like a player who would fit in with that flat 3 rather than going to that 4-2-3-1. In terms of what he did last season, obviously the majority of his appearances came in Premier League 2. He made 34 appearances, scoring 4 goals and 6 assists, 10 goal contributions. He also played in the under-18s Premier League last season, 24 appearances. This lad's made a lot of appearances, 13 and 5. He played in the UEFA Youth League. He made 6 appearances in the Premier League. 4 appearances in the FA Youth Cup, 3 appearances in the EFL Trophy, 3 appearances and 1 assist in the FA Cup, 3 appearances, including playing in the final of the EFL Cup, and very good record in the Europa League. 2 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist in the Europa League for Liverpool. That's 2 goal contributions in the Europa League. So this is clearly a very talented young man, a very good midfield player, someone who, like I said, Liverpool fans and Liverpool rate extremely highly. He's a player they don't want to let go. He's a player they don't want to sell. Now, look, I don't know what you guys know, but Liverpool are not a club that will allow, on the whole, good players to leave. They want to keep hold of good players for as long as possible. And this is a player that clearly has the faith of the Liverpool coaching staff. They have faith in the Liverpool academy. And clearly has a place to play in their first team over the coming years, and would perhaps see a move to Rangers. It's been very good preparation for the lad. Playing in front of over 50,000 every other week. Preparing him obviously for playing at Anfield, playing in the EPL. The atmosphere of Anfield is phenomenal. As well as that, he's got European experience playing for Liverpool. He gained more European experience playing for Rangers. So this is clearly a very attractive option, as I suppose RB Leipzig is, if Rangers want him to go abroad. That could be a very attractive option as well. But overall, this is a player that I think, if we are interested in, yes, it would only be a loan deal, but he's a very talented player, someone I would be very keen to see in the blue of Rangers. So look, very positive, that one. I like that one. It's good. It's quality. Certainly would rather see him at the club than Kenny McLean. But positive. Look, the one question I'm asking before we kind of go on to the next story is Kenny McLean. Would this there are fans who are very much pro Kenny McLean coming, and I get that. I understand that. His stats are not amazing. They're okay. If you look at his stats, you're not sure what they were. Check out last night's pod. I went through them on the pod. But the question I want to ask is, if he wasn't a Rangers fan, would you be so keen for him to come? That's the question I want to ask. I think there's a lot of people have kind of got so obsessed with Kenny McLean because he's a Rangers fan, because he's a Rangers man. That's why fans want him. Just because he supports the club doesn't make him the right fit for the club. Doesn't make him going to be an outstanding player for the club. I think that's a fallacy these days that is going to add to that. So I'd love to know, is that the reason why fans are so well, actually not all fans, but some fans are so into bringing McLean to the club because he's a Rangers man? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Well, it is another week for Rangers where hopefully we'll see some more arrivals with Rangers away in Holland. I'm sure even though that isn't the case, that obviously Niels Koppen and his staff will be working hard to hopefully get some more deals over the line. As I mentioned on the video yesterday, defensive crisis. We do need to still strengthen defence. I think we need at least a couple of centre-backs and another right back. I'd love to see a Ruel Waters from Arsenal. I think he would be a good acquisition for the club. But hopefully something will move this week. Get another player in. Perhaps obviously not ready for the Ajax game, but certainly ready for the Manchester United game on the 20th at Murrayfield. Very excited for that. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Guys, please obviously let me know how you're thinking, how are you feeling at this stage of the season? Where are you up to with this? I'd love to know, one of the things I want to know is from you the fans, and you know me. Look, I value what you think. I really do genuinely value what you think. And, whilst other podcasts, some of the bigger ones, I don't want to name names because I'm not particularly getting into a slanging match, but I think, before I make this comment, I just want to say Heart and Hand not included. Heart and Hand are phenomenal. David Edgar's support is amazing. David Edgar and his little group of podders are amazing. Heart and Hand, fabulous. Nothing but positive to say about them. But I think a lot of the other big Rangers pods and big Rangers organisations that are insiders are very arrogant and very elitist and very dismissive of some of the smaller pods like myself or Rangers Journal or Gallant Few or Four Stands Vibrox, because they're so up themselves to some degree. I think they kind of ignore us. They are very dismissive of us. I know personally that I'm probably one of the most hated Rangers podders out there. Obviously, if you're from the any of the organisations that are bigger podcasts than mine, please disagree with me. But I don't think that's the truth. But look, unlike them, I'm very interested in your opinions. You know that I want to get you involved as much as possible. You know that your comments matter to me. You know your views matter to me. So let me know in the comments, how are you feeling about the season upcoming? How are you feeling about things at the moment? How are you feeling about our transfer business? Where are you up to with this? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, please obviously smash that like on the way out. Actually, no, that's the sub, isn't it? The sub, that's what you do. Sub to the channel or Jers TV as well. Absolute bunch of comedians. But yeah, so please obviously sub to the channel. On the way out, there's two things I would love you to do. First of all, smash that like, help to defeat the algorithm. And number two, always remember, never forget, we are the people.